Um, I guess in the back of my head I did, but being young, a lot of that stuff don't into your mind, don't phase you a whole bunch. It probably made me better equipped to deal with the world. Taught you how to live with all types of people, how to react to certain situations. And I'm sure Nichols, because of the situation here, that helped some too.
The story of integration was a journey that unfolded powerful narratives of human resilience and collective progress. During the week of September 17th, 1963, the first 21 African American students integrated Nicholls State University, making it the last college in southern Louisiana to do so. Donald J. Johnson, a native of Thibodaux, was one of those 21 students.
Just enrolled at Southern. This was in the fall, and like I said, I can't remember who asked. Whether it was, I'm sure it wasn't the university here. It may have been Southern University that the NFACP asked for some students that might be interested in coming here since they hold had just ordered Nichols to integrate. And so they contacted some of the students from Thibodeau, which I was one of them. And I accepted coming here. And most of us uh, were the only black in the class. So, of course, no one else, nobody in class talked to me. And I remember that the instructors in my classes were not friendly. They were not encouraging. But that was expected. Because they did not want us here. So they weren't going to be overly friendly and helpful. Well, when we would walk down the hall, nobody ever tried to physically attack any of us. But they used to make remarks when you pass by. The type of remarks that we were used to having down here, in the South. But as long as none of them physically put their hands on me, the remarks didn't bother me a whole lot. One thing I do remember clearly was I was here the day that Jack Kennedy was assassinated. And I was in a PE class. And after the class, we were all in the locker room getting dressed and all that. And I was the only black person in the room. And when the word came down, spread through the school that Kennedy had been shot, assassinated, or one of the white students in the locker room, and I know he was directed toward me, he said that probably was the nigger who shot and killed him. I just looked at him. I didn't say a word because he was looking at me when he said it. Because I know, that wasn't unexpected of him to say something like that, especially when he went around me. So I just ignored it. Five of us, Lois and Doris, Raymond Ellis, Effie Queen, and I, we grew up together, so we knew each other anyway. So we already were friends, and usually our classes didn't run together, so we didn't see each other. Not on campus a lot. Off campus we did. When we were enrolled here, we started going to the basketball games here. And that was a no-no with them because that was still in the '60s. Just had integrated the school, and because I remember one incident when we came one night to a basketball game, and when as soon as we walked into the gym going to get some seats, you know, we heard a couple of the students say, "Oh no, they come in here, they come again." So But those are things you expected. It didn't phase us because we didn't expect them to get up and say welcome. So we just ignored it. Most of the students, to be the truth for most of the students, when we enrolled, they just ignored us. They didn't call us bad names. They just ignored you. Didn't have anything to do with you. Now, every now and then there might be one that did a little friendly, but as a whole, they were not. But that was, like I said, that was expected, so we knew how to deal with it.
With unbelievable courage comes unwavering resilience. Among the first 21 students to integrate Nicholls, there was one student whose courage and resilience encouraged thousands to follow. In 1966, the late Raymond Ellis became the first black graduate at Nicholls State University. A proud native of Thibodaux, Ellis was a student at Southern University before he helped integrate Nicholls in 1963. As change came about, resistance followed soon after, and Ellis was no stranger to that resistance.
Well, going to school, he had very difficult times. Like going to the cafeteria. He didn't feel comfortable in the cafeteria. So there was a tree that he would go sit at. They would bring their lunch in a brown paper bag and sit there and eat. So that was one of the things he didn't feel comfortable with. When they would eat their lunch out there, or like a few days after they started eating there, someone went and put on the tree, nigger tree. And that discouraged him a lot. The classroom, the students would say, "It's getting dark in here." And that meant that he was there. I would talk to him a lot. He would come home and cry about it. And I told him that he could do he's better than that and keep on walking.
Resilience helps build character, but sometimes you need a little inspiration along the way. For some, the idea of inspiration is a fleeting idea, a temporary feeling of hope and creativity that leaves before a moment's notice. For Obie Cleveland Hill, the idea of inspiration is long-lasting, a feeling of hope and creativity that echoes into future generations. In 1968, the Mississippi native would become the first black athlete at Nicholls State University. Similar to his predecessors, Hill understood the challenges ahead and the eventual impact that his presence would have.
Actually, I started at Nicholls in 1968, student athlete, first African American to play sports at Nicholls. 1968, I know that was long before you all were born. So it's hard to imagine that period of time, you know. But that was an interesting period of time for African Americans because Civil Rights Act had been passed in 64, the Voting Rights Act in 65, and integration of previously segregated college campuses was the thing to do, the thing to try to do. So I was persuaded by my high school coach and not persuaded, influenced by my high school coach, influenced by Dr. Galliano, who was the president at the time, to be the person to integrate sports here at Nicholls. One day, I had two other teammates who were very good basketball players too. We got a call from our principal to come to the office. So we go to, and of course, when you go to the principal's office, you think, what did I do wrong? We went to the office and there was this assistant basketball coach named Lloyd LeBlanc from Francis T. Nicholls State College. Had never heard of it before in my life. And he was telling us that somebody told him that they had 3 basketball players at our high school and that, you know, he should look at us. And so we talked for a few minutes, very cordial, went on back to class. Anyway, I lived about a block from the school, so I never ate in the cafeteria at school, so I would walk home for lunch. So on my way home, he pulls up beside me, and he said, could I talk to you a little bit more? And I said, sure. So we drove up and we sat in my yard, and he said, look, we are trying to integrate our sports program at Nicholls State. He said, I know you don't know anything about that, but from what I know about you, looking at your grades and everything like that, I think you'd be the right fit for it. So before you just discount us altogether, you know, just at least think about it and stay in touch with me. And so I agreed to do that. I went back to school and I was telling my high school coach about that encounter. And he basically said, you know, again, this is 1968, and we're talking about integration. He said, you know, this is something that has to be done. And if you are the person to do it, you need to really seriously think about it. I did, not too much, but I did. On my second visit to this campus, another kid from North Mississippi came down and his coach came with him. His coach and Dr. Galliano, who was the president at the time, I heard them talking. And this coach asked Dr. Galliano, why do you all of a sudden want to integrate now? And Dr. Galliano said, this is something that has to be done. We need to get it done now. His words echoed the very words that my high school coach had said. And so I'm starting to think, you know, maybe it is time to do this. And maybe I am the person that needs to do it. And so I came here in 1968 as a freshman. I experienced some things that we call microaggressions today. Little bitty things, little bitty slights, little bitty put downs, you know, and I guess, you know, you learn to endure those things because you have a bigger purpose in mind. There was only one outright blatant racist incident that I had with a teammate. And of course, he called me the N-word. We were having a pickup game. He got angry with me and he called me that. And I was really taken aback by that. And I told some of the other teammates, surprisingly, they all came to my defense. He thought they were gonna come to his defense. And to his surprise, those guys had accepted me. Those guys had embraced me as their teammate. And I guess you could say they just felt like we're not going back to what it used to be. We're gonna go forward. I completed my degree requirements in 1972, Bachelor of Arts in Liberal Arts. Of course, back in those days, Nicholls only had one commencement a year. So I was actually conferred my degree in May of '73. However, in August of 1972, I had joined the Army. I was in at Fort Polk, Louisiana, when we had the ceremony for graduation. And then when I finished my 3 years of active duty, I decided to come back and pursue my certification to become a teacher. Now let me give you a little bit of hindsight on that, because I never intended to teach. I was on the Army's basketball team, and I'm not talking about the military academy. I'm talking about the active Army basketball team. And we had played a tournament in Thessalonica, Greece, actually, and we won it. And we were asked by the State Department to go put on a clinic in Amman, Jordan. And if you know anything about Muslim culture, the use of the left hand is frowned upon. The use of anything to the left side of the body is frowned upon. And so we were putting on a basketball clinic, and we were trying to get the guys to play on the entire basketball court, and they all wanted to play on the right side of the court, you know. And it was difficult, but my coach at the time, the late Hal Fisher, came up to me and said, "Hill, have you ever thought about being a teacher?" And I said, you know, I wouldn't mind being a coach someday, but I don't want to be a teacher. And in his words, and I'm quoting him, he said, "Well, what the hell do you think coaching is if it's not good teaching?" That sparked my interest in coming back, getting certified to become a teacher. And I did that in 1975-76. Began working on my master's degree immediately after getting certified, finished the degree, master's degree requirements in 1978, and went back and started teaching junior high school for 2 years, starting in 1976. And then in 1979, an opportunity came about for me to become the assistant basketball coach here. And ironically, I did not want to get back into athletics, but I was influenced to do it. And it was a good choice because it got me back into the university. 1985, after I had been assistant coach for about 6 years, I was offered a position in the physical education department. And that's how I took that position. That's how I got into the academic side. And from there, I decided, you know, if I'm gonna make this a career, I need to get a PhD or a doctorate, which I did. And after I got my doctorate, a position opened up as director of student teaching. I applied for that position. I got that. 4 years later, I was influenced by a friend of mine to seek the deanship in education at Southern University in New Orleans. I applied for that position, and I got that. After 1 year, the deanship in education opened up here. I applied for that. I got back here in 1999, and as they say, the rest is history. I just hope that, you know, earlier this year we celebrated the 60th anniversary of the first African-American students on this campus. And one of the things I relate to is that they were a foundation for me. I stand on their shoulders. And so now I'm at the point in my life where I hope that 1981 and forward, some of us who were here then, you know, you guys stand on our shoulders. And then when you get ready to leave here, I hope you leave the same legacy, you know. But this campus, this university, I don't care however you measure it, it is completely different from 1968 to now. And it's completely different in a tremendously good way.
Innovation is the fuel that propels societies forward. It is the driving force behind progress, pushing us beyond our limits. Rodney Duke Woods, a senior majoring in studio fine arts, is no stranger to using his creativity to encourage deeper thinking and understanding. The 7-time Vogue feature photographer emerges as not only an art student, but as a passionate advocate for change. His love for art and commitment to social impact harbors a powerful force for raising awareness of social issues in the Black community. His brilliance has not gone unnoticed. The College of Liberal Arts has provided Duke with opportunities to showcase his work on campus and abroad.
For the study abroad, that's the art department doing and the liberal arts, and I'm very grateful for the opportunity because as an artist, leaving your hometown or leaving the area that you create in to go see and explore the world, to see museums that you probably would never seen before, And just to see different cultures, different backgrounds and everything really opened my eyes to see what I need to be doing in the art world. Because for me, traveling across the world and seeing the lack of Black art in museums, or the lack of whatever it is, like the issues that I talk about in my artwork, that inspired me and motivated me to create the body of work that I've been creating. My relationship with my professors here are okay. I do feel like we should have more professors in the art department that look like me, because it would allow me to have the opportunity to hear feedback from somebody that may have experienced some of the things that I experienced, or just to have a similar background, you know, because we in the art department where it's like all white professors, and they could be from Louisiana or whatever it is, but just having like experience the things that I have to experience as an individual and a person of color, is just, they won't never understand. They could sympathize and empathize, but they would never understand what it feels like to be me. I'd rather create artwork that's very impactful and powerful than generic artwork, because after having conversations with people that see my artwork, they go home and they think about it. It's been multiple accounts where people came to me and be like, okay, like people that don't look like me, they came to me and were like, okay, I seen your artwork, and at first I couldn't like look at it or agree with it, but I really have to do like some self-exploring within myself and just thinking about what I saw, and not actually what I just like seen at the museum, but what I saw in your art. And that's, for me, is the most impactful thing, because I want you to think about it. I want you to reflect. I want you to be able to find a deeper meaning in my artwork and not just look at it and be like, that's cute, that's pretty. But just touching on social issues also shows us the side of things that most people won't see. They'll see a post on social media, but that's not enough. That's not enough at all. They'll see the mainstream issues, but there are so many issues that we face as African American that most people don't like to talk about, or will just refuse to talk about. And like in the school systems right now, they're trying to take out a big chunk of Black history, and to say that there's a big chunk they're trying to take out is crazy, because we already have a small portion of that, and we only taught that history in Black History Month. So it's just like, just by them trying to eliminate the things that we did have, it's already heartbreaking. So just trying to preserve what we have and showing both good and bad, that's the reason why. One of my favorite quotes, I might misquote this, but it's like, the master tools will never dismantle the master's house. And I feel like by us being able to come to a college, especially a PWI, is one step closer to us dismantling that master's house.
The legacy of integration is a living, breathing force that transcends time, echoing through the generations to follow. The struggles and triumphs paved the way for a more inclusive academic landscape, inspiring future generations to believe in future success. In closing, may the lessons from the stories of courage, resilience, inspiration, and innovation carry into the future. As we turn our gaze toward the horizon, may we be inspired to work towards equality, celebrate diversity, and build a world where the transformative power of education continues to break down barriers for generations to come.